The Houston Texans defense continue to showcase why they can be one of the best defensive teams in the league. All of that and more on the latest episode of Locked On Texans.
Let's get it.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers, Texan fans across the nation, to this Thursday episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you to all of our first-time listeners and viewers. Come on in, sit down, take your shoes off. You better have on some good clean socks. But when you sit down, please do us three favors: subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you to all of our everydayers coming back, continuing to give us the energy we need to come back to this show to give you guys exactly what you're looking for. And that's inside of Texans Training Camp. I'm your Texans football analyst, John, some sports guy Hickman. On the other side of the screen, Texans credential media member, Sports Illustrated's own Coach T. Davis. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Cody, take it away.
Yeah, and on this Thursday installment of Locked On Texans, man, let me just tell you one thing. I am glad that the Houston Texans offense has a day off, because for the third time in 4 days, the Houston Texans defense continued to showcase why they could definitely be one of the best defensive teams in the league. So with that being said, John, I do want to close this installment looking at whether or not there's some concerns with this offense as of right now, whether it's health, whether it's CJ Stroud looking frustrated. But once again, man, looking at this defense on all three levels, everybody is performing. Yes, we're going to talk about what he is trending for a little bit later on in the show, but I definitely want to highlight Derek Stingley Jr. going into year 3. But John, once again, this defense put on another phenomenal show. I understand on Tuesday, the Houston Texans offense did look a little bit better. They came out more aggressive. However, from the very first moment that the Houston Texans lined up for 11-on-11 play, it was clear that the defense was going to recapture the momentum that they established dating all the way back up until Friday. Will Anderson Jr., another day for him, recording somewhere in the ballparks of 2 to 3 sacks. Danielle Hunter had an opportunity to get him a sack. And look, I understand this offense was struggling, and I do want to point out, one, it was raining. There were several times where the receiver did drop the ball due to it just being plain old wet due to the weather. However, I also want to mention that John Mechie, he missed another day of practice along with Joe Mixon. Nico Collins did return and put on one of the best juke moves that I've seen in a very long time on rookie Kamari Lassiter. But outside Nico Collins and outside Tank Dell, if I had to put it, Tank Dell may have had the best offensive performance in terms of everything that transpired on Wednesday. I believe he finished the day somewhere in the ballpark of 5 to 6 catches. He got it done with CJ Stroud, and he got it done with Davis Mills. But there were moments, man, from the offense, the receivers, the quarterback, looking at CJ Stroud and looking at Davis Mills as well, where everyone was frustrated. And that's how good this defense played. And to understand how frustrated the offense got, there was a fight that broke out, and then you can kind of make the argument that the defensive side of the ball won that as well. It started CJ Stroud connected with Stephon Diggs, and of course, just like last year, Jimmy Ward full pass. I don't know what goes into his mindset when that happens, but he did tackle Stephon Diggs a little bit harder than usual, and everybody was standing on the side was like, okay, I mean, what's going on with that? Then, of course, a couple plays later, that's when you saw the big scuffle that took place between Derek Stingley Jr. and Dalton Schultz, man.
Dalton Schultz was like, this is second year in a row, too, get into a camp fight. He was like, what's going on? I thought we was on the same team.
Exactly. And prior to that, the original scuffle was Tank Dell, and it was one of the other DBs, man. But once again, from the moment Jimmy Ward tackled Stephon Diggs a little bit harder than usual, the defense, man, you can tell that they was in the head of the offense, plain and simple, man. Once again, it was just another phenomenal day for the defense. And John, I just look at this defense and I'm thinking to myself, look, if they do not finish the 2024 season as, let's say, a top 3 defensive team, that means something truly went wrong during the regular season. And I understand, I get it. You know, they're going up against their teammates, they're going up against the coaching staff. So 9 times out of 10, they already know what to expect, you know, if it in the passing attack, in the rushing attack, or whatever the case might be. But I'm just looking at that defense, man. I'm looking at the edge rushers. I'm looking at the interior defensive line. I'm looking at the linebackers that look pretty good without Christian Harris. And of course, we spent the last couple of days talking about the secondary. And in the second segment, we're going to talk about the improvements and the growth and the development of Stingley Jr. John, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this defensive team can definitely be near or possibly be at the top in 2024.
Well, I mean, that is encouraging. You look at the, the defense where they ranked last year, 21 points allowed per game. That was 11th. 15th in total yards allowed per game. TDs a game, 2.3. That was 14. Opponent third down conversion, 36.2. That was 6. I mean, Houston was ranked in 5 categories, top 15 in the NFL, and that was in year 1 of DeMeco's defense. And I think depending on how you look at things, we could see an upgrade with the linebacker group. We're bringing in Aziz, Daniil Hunter, Denico Autry. There's still question marks with that secondary, but a fully healthy Derek Stingley Jr., you're looking at that. So they could possibly be top 10 at the end of the year in all rankings, which would be a good sign. I think when I look at this defense right now, I just love the physicality of it, honestly. And I think that will continue to show. I can't wait to see Houston. I forget off the top of my head right now who they have for joint practices, but when they get
Los
to joint
Angeles
practice,
Rams.
The Rams, which is somewhat, of a battle of a Shanahan tree. You got Sloyd and DeMeco. You got McVay over there with the LA Rams. I love McVay as a coach. But you just look at the physicality that they're bringing. And to speak to that, Derek Stingley Jr. probably says in 365 days, he will probably say a total of 500 words.
I think it's less than that.
Probably less than that.
Look, less than that. We spoke to him, I believe it was Monday. His media availability was a total of 4 minutes.
Right. and guys, to put you in to put you in the place of those post press conferences after practice, there's about 10 to 15 media members all asking questions. And to give you guys a little bit more insight and perspective, depending on the player, there's more questions. So, for instance, if there was maybe like a Jawar Jordan or British Brooks, just to throw those names out there, not a lot of questions. But Derek Stingley, a potential all-pro cornerback who we're talking about his year 3 development, he had an interception on Tank Dell today. Typically, everybody has questions. So much so the media staff may say, hey, listen, that's it. That's how much Derek Stingley doesn't talk. Or I'll just say, to be more positive, more reserved he is as a player in terms of words. But he's getting out there, getting physical, getting chippy with his teammates. And that's a good thing. There won't be no bad blood. I'm sure they probably talked it over in the locker room after practice, however it may be. They know there's one goal, but to see your leader in that secondary room get physical and then still be able to make plays, I think that's a plus. So we'll talk about year 3 and the development of Derek Stingley on the other side of the break. Listen, Texans fans, before we even talk about Derek Stingley, I want to let you guys know that the hype is real. If you haven't got your tickets yet, you need to hop on it right now. You can check out a lot of different sites to get your tickets, right? but there is no site better than Game Time. Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of the NFL, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the kickoff of the games. You can even check out Rockets. Check out Locked On Rockets. Astros. Check out Locked On Astros. They got tickets for any major sporting event near us here in the city of Houston or wherever you're listening at. Or you want to go check out a theater event, you want to go to a concert, they have those as well. The best thing about, in my opinion, the best thing about Game Time, because I frequent on Game Time, listen, if something happens, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Don't wait, and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
I mean, I feel good. I feel like this year is, as a whole, as a defense, I feel like at this point last year, we're a little bit ahead of schedule as far as chemistry-wise and just talking on the field, just making sure everybody knows what they got going on. So, I mean, I think we all feel good right now. You know, it's fun. Every day you get better. Every day you probably see something you ain't never seen before. So, I mean, that's good because, you know, once we get in the game, it's probably going to be something schemed up like that. So it's good that we see it in practice now.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to this Thursday installment of Locked On Texans. John, listeners and viewers, I just want to know what the hell happened that made Darren Stingley Jr. knock the heck out of Dalton Schultz.
I got some inside information for you guys. Listen closely.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Dalton Schultz said gumbo nasty. That's what happened.
You know what?
Derek Stingley took that personal.
You know,
I'm not sure though. You know what? I don't know.
No. Look, although I'm Houston made, I'm originally from the boot, and let me just say, I think that'll get me fighting as well. Don't disrespect the gumbo, man, especially if you're from the boot. But
if you're from Texas too, hold on now.
But you know, it's a little bit more special down there when you're from the boot, man. Plain and simple. But talking about somebody else that's from the boot, Darren Stingley Jr., man, 6 days in the training camp, he has been one of the bright spots for this Houston Texans defense. And I know you guys are probably tired of me raving about the defense, but a lot of it has to do with Darren Stingley Jr. The stats that I have for him as of right now, several pass deflections, about 3 interceptions, and you're looking at a guy, John, listeners and viewers, you know we played around with this idea a lot. You know, if he can stay healthy, can Stingley be an all-pro corner? Me personally, I think he definitely would have reached that milestone had he stayed healthy last year. We saw how good this defense, especially that secondary, we saw how good it was when Darren Stingley Jr. was on the field versus when he wasn't on the field. And the one thing that I'm starting to notice about Stingley is a little bit similar to Jalen Petrie. It's the fact that you are starting to see them. It seems like they are playing a little bit more, utilizing their developed mindset in the game on an NFL level. And I said that because you can kind of see both of those guys, but mainly Darren Stingley Jr. literally, before he's making a move, you can literally see him reading and orchestrating and coming up with different ways how he's going to attack the play. And every time, whether it's CJ, whether it's Davis Mills, whether it's Case Keenum, every time they attack his side of the field, 9 times out of 10, he's coming up with a stop. Now, before moving on, I do want you guys to listen to what position coach Dino Vassell had to say about the 3rd-year development of Darren Stingley Jr. Can you just start by talking about what has it been like working with Darren Stingley Jr. going into year 3 now?
Yeah. Again, it's been awesome. I just explained that to some of these guys earlier. He's been a sponge. You can coach him hard. We know that. Just continue to work on consistency with him. I thought he was better today. We made some plays on the football. That's the one thing that has to click up for our group as a whole. But I thought we were better today.
Are you starting to get a sense that, you know, we all knew how talented he was coming in 3 years ago, but what have you seen from, I guess, like the mental mindset of his game now?
He's always had that. He's always had that competitive stamina, that competitive drive. And I've said this from the jump. That's just not something that you can teach. It's something that you're born with, something that you gain over time from being resilient. He relishes the one-on-one. He has a short memory, and that's something that's inherent to playing the corner position.
Do you think he has come close or starting to knock on the door to, the potential, the full potential that he's going to be in the NFL? Or you think there's still some levels that he got to go to as well?
Yeah, we're not close yet. We don't talk about expectations. We don't talk about his potential. We just talk about getting better every day, incremental gains, just competing with who he was yesterday and not with the next man. If he does that every day and stacks some days, it's going to be all right.
I know Stingley Jr. is CB1. CB2, I know you've been asked a lot about Kamari Lassiter. What have you been seeing from the rest of the guys in that group, and particularly Jeff Okudah as well?
Yeah, Jeff's been awesome. He's a sponge. Again, he's talented. He wants to learn. He wants to be coached hard. He'll stay after late. He comes early, learning from some of the receivers, learning from some of the guys that have been in the scheme, as well as C.J. Henderson. Both those guys obviously are talented. They've played some football in this league. They haven't been in this scheme. So, again, just bringing them along in this team so they can progress.
Last question before I let you go. What have you thought about the overall performance of the defense these last couple of days?
I thought it's been okay, better today. The biggest thing for us is attacking the football, right? We want to get the football back to Bobby and CJ in the offense. I thought we did a better job today, but as a whole, that's one thing that we got to do.
I'll tell you one thing. The Houston Texans making sure that they do not get complacent on neither side of the ball. One of my favorite moments of the interview was when I asked Dino Vasso what he thought of the defensive performance over these last couple of days. And for the fact that he said it's been okay, lets me know, one, there's another level this defense can go, but more importantly, it just shows you the mindset, how from the players, the coaching staff, everybody is locked in on getting to that ultimate goal for the 2024 season.
Yeah, man, we got to talk about reasons for concern 6 days into training camp. I don't think one of those reasons of concern will be the defensive line, simply because, shout out to Big Sarge, he had an opportunity to speak with first-year defensive line coach. He was the assistant defensive line coach last year, but Wright, talking about Will Anderson, gave a lot of praise, said he is the undisputed leader of not only the D-line, but the entire defense. That's a year 2 player, but we got concerns. We'll talk about that on the other side. Don't go nowhere. More Locked On Texans. Want to let you guys know about eBay Motors. The winning formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And that's passion, drive, and patience. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance with superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guarantee Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP of the road and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to this Thursday installment of Locked On Texans. John, I'm going to throw you a lob real quick. You've been out there for what, 3 out of the 6 days of training camp. So you've seen some stuff. You've been told some stuff.
Right.
You didn't heard some stuff,
Right.
6 days in, about a week now.
Right.
Do you have any concerns with the Houston Texans as of right now?
My concerns are still the secondary.
Really?
And I think
even with Kamari Lassiter and Caleb Bullock, and even the improvements that we've seen from Jalen Petrie.
Well, I'll say this from mine eyes. I think, Cody, you saw more of improvements than I did. And I have to be fair. Not to say those improvements are not there. You've came on this show and spoke about the improvements, talked about Jalen Petrie. I think Kamari Lassiter, from what I've seen with my eyes, based off of that and a little bit of the, what you told me in some of the clips I've seen, I think he's had some up and down days. But as a unit, and that's including cornerback, that's including safety, I still have concerns. Our concerns could be different because you've seen the totality of training camp to this point. And you know what? Dating back to OTAs and camp, mini camp.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I still have concerns for the secondary. And I would say CJ hasn't looked as sharp as maybe I anticipated he will. But those were some of the things that I think we talked about last year going into the season. So a lot of new faces offensively, and a lot of guys fighting for opportunities. I think that'll clean up with time.
I can see that. The one concern I have is on the offensive side of the ball, and that's literally the offense getting too much in their own way. Because
that's a good point. But you know what? I've seen that.
Exactly, and that's really my only concern. I mean, you talk about CJ not looking sharp. Part of the reason why he hasn't looked sharp 6 days in the training camp is because it seemed like once he gets frustrated, he's trying to do too much. Same thing with the wide receivers. If I remember there was a moment where CJ could not find an open target during yesterday's practice. And the second go around, it just seemed like the receivers was literally, majority of the time, I was like, what routes are y'all running? Y'all just out there just running around all over the place, just trying to shake off your opponent. Even with the offensive line. Now, I do want to say, I have yet to see this offense 100% healthy because they're all the way back to the first day of training camp. Somebody on the offensive side of the ball has been out. Laramie Tunsil hasn't practiced yet. The last couple of days, we have not seen Joe Mixon. We have not seen John Mechie. Nico Collins, he missed a couple of days. Dalton Schultz missed Monday, came back Tuesday and Wednesday. So there's a lot on the offensive side of the ball, guys being in and out. And because there are a lot of new faces, and even if you don't have a quote unquote new face, you got guys still trying to find their win, i.e. a Titus Howard, i.e. Kenyon Green, where the offensive line look a hell of a lot different the last time they actually played the game together. It's like the camaraderie isn't there. And that's what I mean when I say, I think these first 6 days, once the defense starts to get into a rhythm, they just do too much. And it's just like they're getting in their own way, where it just seems like if they just take a breather, get back to what they're doing, they'd be able to attack this Houston Texans defense.
And good point, Cody. And I also want to piggyback off the point that, guys are in and out of practice. Not a real big concern for me. Mm-hmm. If you look at some of the guys that's been in and out of practice, you got Laramie Tunsil hasn't practiced yet. He's rebounded from a knee procedure he went through this offseason. So you want to make sure he don't return back until he's 100%. And he's a vet that's played in the league for a very long time. So I'm not worried about that. Nico Collins in and out. With Nico, last year, it would have been a concern for me because you want to get that timing with your quarterback. But they don't miss a beat. He was out, then came back, and he still looked like Nico Collins of last year. John Mechie being out is a concern for me because I believe he needs as many reps as he possibly can get. But when he's on the field, he's been a productive training camp practice player. Joe Mixon is not really a concern. He's been in the league 6-7 years now. Mm-hmm. He's going to need some time. And to your point, both Titus and Kenyon Green getting their win back and working themselves back into game shape. I'll say this, though. I haven't seen too many miscues, whether from my own eyes or your eyes or just anything that I'm watching or viewing. I haven't seen too many miscues from one player that has missed on the offensive side of the ball that hasn't missed a practice. And that's Stephon Diggs. Him and CJ are still on the same page. So I think those concerns may diminish once we get the full lineup at full strength of lineup. And that is with, even excluding Laramie Tunsil, that it is, Howard, Green, whoever's at center, Shaq Mason, they're filling it out at left tackle, right? You got Nico at practice, Diggs at practice, Mechie at practice, Tank at practice. Your tight ends are set. Mixing is there. Once you get that full strength offense, maybe some of these concerns go away. And I'm anticipating that they will. Thank you guys for watching today's episode. Day 6 of training camp was a lot of fun. Fans were back out there, and boy, did they put on a show for the fans. Who doesn't like to watch a fight? But please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texans podcast on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12.
And as always, I'm your host, Cody M. Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at CodyDavis_24. Once again, it's Cody, still TYDAVIS_24. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.